This is Clarity First. One of the most persistent thoughts in dating is this: maybe I missed something. Maybe there was a moment I didn't read correctly. Maybe there was something I shouldn't have said. And that question can stay in the mind for a long time. Because when something feels meaningful but doesn't continue, the mind tries to find the exact point where it went wrong. Think about a moment like that. A connection that felt clear, a conversation that flowed, a moment that felt real, and then something changed. When that happens, most people go back and review everything: the messages, the tone, the timing. They replay the interaction trying to locate the mistake. But there is another possibility that often gets ignored. Nothing was missed. Because not everything that feels good at the beginning has structure underneath it. Sometimes what you are seeing early on is momentum. Conversation flows, attention feels natural, the interaction feels easy, and momentum can create a strong sense of connection very quickly. But momentum is not the same thing as stability. If you think about it for a moment, you've probably experienced how easy it is for a conversation to feel meaningful in the beginning. But what happens after that moment is what actually reveals the nature of the connection. Because structure does not appear in the first interaction, it appears in what follows. Does the communication continue? Does the interest repeat? Do words turn into action? Does intention become visible? That is where clarity comes from, not from the first moment, from the pattern that forms afterward. So when something does not continue, the explanation is not always that something was done wrong. Sometimes the explanation is that the structure was never there to begin with. And when structure is missing, momentum can carry the interaction for a while, but it cannot sustain it. That is why the beginning can feel so convincing, because momentum creates a feeling, but only structure creates continuity. And when continuity does not appear, the mind tries to go back and fix the beginning. It replays the conversation. It searches for the mistake. It tries to locate the exact moment where everything changed. But sometimes nothing changed. What you are seeing is simply the difference between what felt real in the moment and what was actually able to continue. That difference is not always visible at the start. It becomes visible over time, because time reveals what the interaction is built on. If something continues, you don't need to analyze it. If something doesn't continue, analysis won't make it continue. That is an important shift because it moves attention away from trying to fix the past and toward observing what is actually happening. Not everything that feels meaningful is meant to continue. And that does not mean something was missed. It means something was revealed. Clarity does not always arrive in the moment. Sometimes it arrives afterward when behavior shows what was actually there. And when you begin to see that clearly, the need to search for mistakes starts to fade because the question changes from what did I do wrong to what actually continued. And that question is much easier to answer because what is real does not need to be reconstructed. It continues.